action.
Okay, today I'm going to show you how to take a piece of fleece material, add a crochet edging to it, and make a blanket out of it. Before we get started, you're going to need a self-adhesive cutting mat to protect your table. You will need a quilt ruler. This one is 2 feet long, but you can get them longer. You're going to need a rotary cutter with a straight blade. And then later we're going to need a rotary cutter with a skip stitch. You also need a little basket of safety pins to keep track of your work. And this is not a necessity, but I use it because I cut so many blankets. This is a handle that is a suction onto the ruler, and it just helps me with leverage. Not a necessity, but it helps me out a lot. Okay. The first thing when you have a piece of fleece is you need to figure out the right side and the wrong side. And usually on a print it's very easy to see. You can see this side is very bright and beautiful, and the words are going in the right order. And on this side it's dull, so this is your wrong side. You're going to work from the right side. This edging is called a selvage. You're going to have it on 2 sides of the material, and the first thing you're going to do is cut that selvage off, because that's going to give you a straight line. And what we're doing right now before we start working on the blanket is we're actually squaring it so that you'll have a square piece of material to work from. I'm starting with a small piece because it's going to be easier to show you. I always put a safety pin on the right side of the fabric, so that I always know that I'm working on the right side. And since this piece is smaller, it's going to go a little bit faster. Most of my blankets are about 1.5 yards. The material runs about 55 to 60 inches wide, so that makes a good square blanket. If you want it smaller, you can use 1 yard. That makes a good lap blanket. Okay, I'm lining up my ruler along this selvage line, and I'm just going to take it and I'm going to cut the material right off. Whoops. Got to turn my blade on first. Go down and cut the material off. Then I'm going to take a safety pin and mark that I've cut this edge. Because you think you're going to remember, but if you get distracted or you're cutting out too many blankets, it will be hard to figure out which sides you've worked on. Flip on over to the opposite side and cut the selvage side off here so that I'll have 2 straight edges. Very simple. And I'm going to take my safety pin, mark that I've done that. And now I have a straight edge to use when I cut my long side. And I left the material long so you can see how it works when you actually are working on a big piece of material. Okay, you lay your material out as flat as you can. It depends on the size of your table. I know that this line is straight, so I can get my ruler and line it up and have a straight line here, and I know this is going to take me straight. I'm going to move this over a tiny bit more so that I know that I have some to cut off. As I start cutting, obviously I'm going to run to the end of my ruler. So I'm going to pull this material down where I can work on it. You can see that I have a straight line. This is going to help me. I'm going to line this up. It's going to help me to keep my material square. And you just have to keep doing that until you get to the end of the material. So I'll line this up. And I might want to go a little longer, depends on how big a piece of material is. And after a while, if you get brave like me, you just move it on up. Make sure your line is straight and cut. Okay, so now we already have 3 sides that are squared. mark it with your pen, and we know that this is the only side that we have left to square. And you can see when they cut this that it's pretty jagged. So this will take maybe a little more work than the others. Same thing, we're going to line it up down here. Make sure we have a square line because that's what we're working from. You can kind of see how it's been cut. I might move it over just a little. Okay, now I'm going to start doing the same thing. Cut. Pull it down closer. Straighten out my material. Work out. Get this lined up. Cut. And you just continue doing that until you get to the end of the material. I'm going to make sure this side is lined up. That way I can almost get to the end. And I will probably slide that and just go on to the end. Okay, so I have my blanket squared up already. So that's how simple it is. Now this one was pretty easy because I had two short sides. It does get a little bulkier when you have more material. Okay, the next thing you want to do is you want to cut a little triangle, and it's just about this big. I say about the size of your thumbnail. You want to cut a triangle off of each corner. And that is what is going to make your corners lie flat. And I will show you another secret about the corners once we start crocheting. So, I'm done with my straight blade right now, and I'm ready to move on to getting my skip stitch cut. I want to make sure I have my right side up, and I'm going to switch to the other side of the board. And you'll understand why in just a few minutes. When I lay this out and I have my straight edge, I'm going to use my ruler to mark 3/4 of an inch. This is the 3/4 mark. You can mark it on your ruler if it makes it easier. And you want to just kind of push the material in until it's all lined up at 3/4. I'm going to unpin this pin for right now. I'm going to get my skip stitch blade, and I'm going to line it up against the ruler. And this is where this handle really comes in handy too, because you can put weight on it so that your ruler doesn't slip. And you're just going to cut with your slip stitch blade. And then obviously, I can't go the whole way. I'm going to find where my last hole is and put this pin in to mark it. Move it down. Get my 3/4 inches lined up again. Sometimes you have to push your material in. Sometimes you have to pull it back out, but you want it to all be lined up with 3/4 inch mark. Okay, this is important. You have to put your skip stitch blade point into the exact hole of where you stopped. If you don't, it's going to mess up your blanket. Your holes aren't going to be lined up correctly. Okay, same thing. I've come down here. I stretch out and find out where my last hole is. And I put my pin in. Pull it down. Mark my 3/4 edge. Pull it out a little bit. You want to make it straight. Okay, I can stretch my hole a little bit and put my point right in that hole. And then I'm going to just run right off the board. Okay, now I know this side has been squared and has skip stitch blade. So what I do is I put my pin in through a hole this way. And I know I have it marked. Okay, this side's going to be very easy because it's short. And chances are you'll never be making a blanket this small. Okay, I want to get my 3/4 inch. Pull it out if it's not quite right. Push it in to get it just right. And then this one I can just go all the way across. Okay, pull your material, and find the holes, and put a safety pin in there. I'm going to do the other short end too, just because that's so simple. And then I'll show you that other long end. So we line it up 3/4 inch. Find a hole, put your pin in. And now you can tell by looking at it that you've done every side but this one. So we'll do this long side. And then we'll be ready to already start stitching. Line my ruler up 3/4 inch. And the more you do these, the easier it gets. The first one might feel a little awkward. Even the first 10 might feel a little awkward, but I've probably done about 150 of them, so I feel like I can do it in my sleep. Okay, I shouldn't pin that just yet. I can't hold it that way so I know where the hole is. Okay, 3/4 inch. My material till I get it right. Pulling it or pushing it until it's all along the 3/4 inch mark. That's what makes you have a nice, beautiful line on that foundation row. Putting the point exactly in that hole and go up to the next one. Come down here, find the last hole. Quarter inch. Put my point in the hole. And now I'm finished. I'm going to put this like this. A lot of times I'll cut 10 or 12 blankets at a time, fold them up and put them in a closet. So when I see they have the pins like this, I know that they're all ready to go and they're ready to be crocheted. So now we're going to stop the camera just for a minute and switch. Okay, now we're going to use a hook. You need your scissors. This is a G hook. I know some people use an H. It's whatever you feel comfortable in when you get started. But that's the size that will fit in those holes on the blankets. These are different yarns I've used. Red Heart Super Saver. I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby, Red Heart with Love, and Vanna's Choice. I've used all of them and they've been fine. You want to make sure that they have a 4, the worsted weight, and you just pick a color that coordinates with your blanket. Now today, since I'm going to show you how to do the stitch, I'm going to pick a color that just really stands out so that you can see how it gets started.
Action.
Okay, now I'm ready to start my foundation stitch. I'm going to start on the right side of the material, and I know what side that is because I have my safety pin here. I'm going to start close to the edge just so that I can show you what to do when you come to a corner, and then you'll be able to work all the way around and I'll show you what to do at the end. Something that really helps a lot is to stretch your material so you can really find the holes pretty easily. I'm going to use a color that doesn't match this at all, but it's mainly so that you can see the stitch. So you want to get a slip knot. I didn't do that right, but it's on there. A slip knot on your hook. And I usually start, maybe 10 holes from the edge. You're going to go in and you're going to do a single crochet, which means you just grab the yarn. You want to make it loose, so I always kind of bring it up and have a little play in it. Bring it through and then yarn over and do a chain stitch. Then you're going to go into each hole and do a single crochet and a chain stitch. The chain stitch gets you over to the next hole. Single crochet, chain stitch. Single crochet, chain stitch. Single crochet, chain stitch. So keep your work loose. Probably if you think it's a little too loose, it's perfect. Single crochet, chain. Now I'm getting ready to come up to my corner, and what I'm going to do is pick the hole in the corner that I think is best in the corner, and sometimes that's an experiment. I'm going to take this one and try it first, and you're going to do 3 of those stitches in that same hole. Single crochet, chain, go back in the hole again, single crochet, chain, and go back in the hole again, single crochet and chain. So you've done 3 of those, and that's what's going to round your corner and make it lie flat. Then you just pick up again and you start doing your single crochet, chain, single, I'm kind of awkward here a little bit, single crochet and chain. And you'll notice as you've been doing this, the material has just folded behind you. The edge, the 3/4 that you cut, that you made as your border, is just cut folding, and it's giving you a nice straight edge. Okay, you're going to continue. Oh no, this is where the cat ate the yarn. We had a little technical difficulty with the cat earlier. Okay, this should normally be connected to your yarn, and you just continue to single crochet and chain all the way around till you get to your corner. Pick the best corner hole, do 3 single crochets and chains, and just continue that all the way around. And when you've gotten to all the way to the end, I'm going to show you the next step. Okay, so you can see that we've gone all the way around the blanket with our single crochet and a chain, 3 in each corner, and we've come all the way around now to where we're ready to join. So this is my last hole. I'm going to do a single crochet and a chain, and then I'm going to go into this last back loop and do a slip stitch just to connect them. And then I'm going to show you a little how to do the second row, because I want you to know what to do when you get to the corner on the second row. I normally will do a second row of single crochet. So I just chain 1 to bring me up to that row. And then this is kind of the secret of keeping it to lying flat, is you're going to go in every other back loop. So I'm going to go in my back loop, I'm going to do a single crochet, and I'm going to do a chain. And that's another mistake from where the cat chewed the yarn. Okay, then I'm going to go single crochet, chain, single crochet, and chain, single crochet, and chain, And you'll see it's making a nice wider loop, wider border of that same color. And to me, that just is a nice way to get it started. But of course, you can do any crochet stitch that you want to. I just want to get to the corner so that I can show you what to do on your corners from now on. So we're doing single crochet, chain, and now we're going to pick the 3 stitches that are in the corner. So this is 1, 2, 3. And we're going to, wait, let me get to one of them first. We're going to go into every stitch, and that's going to make it lie flat in the corners. Not every other back loop, every back loop. Single crochet, chain. Single crochet, oops. Single crochet, chain, single crochet, chain. Then you start going back into your every other back loop and do a single crochet and chain. And let me do a few of them so that you can see what the corner is going to look like. Okay, so if I lay it out like this, you can see that it rounds out, it lies flat, it's not gathered, and that's what's going to give you your nice corner. So you go all the way around the blanket again, single crochet and chain. You pick your 3 stitches in the corner to do it in every back loop. And otherwise, you're just going to do it in every other back loop. Then when you make it all the way around back to where you started, you can do any stitch you want to from then on. If you want to change colors, you can change your colors now. If you want to do a half double crochet, if you want to continue with single crochets, but you're always going to do your stitch and then a chain to kind of keep that measurement here to lie flat. And you'll do your corners the same. So that's it. It's pretty simple. If you know how to do the crochet stitches, really what you're really learning today is how to prepare the material and how to get the corners to lie flat, because that's the question I've had from most people is how do you get your blanket to be so perfect in lying flat. Part of that comes from cutting out your triangle there. Don't make it too big, because if you make it bigger than your fingernail, it's going to be gathering up. But you want to do your 3 stitches on your first row, and then your 3 stitches in every back loop on your second row and every other row from then on. So hopefully that helps and answers questions, and if it doesn't, just send me a little note and I'll be happy to answer anything I can.